Hello, Inkenstein here. We're looking at the Colorverse, excuse me, no we're not. Oh, there's so much ink and so many calendars, it's a little overwhelming. There's the Enigma Inkvent Calendar for 2024, not the Colorverse one. It comes with this nice holder, which can hold 25 different vials. I guess you can use that year round if you wish to. The vials are pretty standard type of sample vials. 3D printed base. When you order it, you can pick the color for your nib thing and your base, and they come in a variety of colors. I chose kind of the silver, kind of like plain one. And we have gone through the entire first 3 weeks of inks. These are from last week. There are other videos up where you can look at the first week, second week, and third week. I am doing these after the week is over, so that means today's Christmas Day. Merry Christmas. And we'll look at the remaining 4 inks and look at all the swatches for all the inks together. And we have here what was in last week's, kind of a mid-week, to be quite honest with you. Ferris Wheel Press Adventurine, which was really kind of a nice, surprising ink. It comes off first looking like a mid-gray, and it's like pink, and there's bronze and green and purple and blue in it. A lot going on in that ink, which is actually kind of nice. It also is a shimmer ink, though unfortunately it's kind of hard to see on this camera, but there's almost like a bronzy shimmer to it. Also, I really like this guitar, Brilliant Mint. I like the guitar inks. There's an interesting tone going on here, some interesting shading. It'd be fun to write with, but the rest of this is just kind of mediocre, not really terribly surprising. So let's go through and see what's in the last 4 days, and then we'll line up all the swatches for this. Again, if you haven't been following along, when you get the calendar, you also get this little sheet which has scratch offs for each day, so you can reveal what you have without it. Each one of the vials has a number marker on top of it, which you can see there. Like this 22 is glued on top of the vial and thoughtfully sealed shut, which prevents a lot of mess. Every day you can scratch off and then see it reveals what the ink is. So 22 is the first one we'll start with today. It's a Sailor Yurameku, Kitsune Buyori. Kitsune Buyori. Kind of hard to see through here, almost looks like a smoky gray or maybe a brown from what we're seeing through here. So let's pop up a card and ink it up. Definitely brown gray. Very light saturation, very typical for the Sailor inks. But I'm hoping, like many Sailor inks, it's got some surprises for us as it dries. Sailor Yurameku, Kitsune Buyori. That's day 1. Back over here for 23. Ishimoaru Bunkudo, and is Blue Emerald for 23. My son is a Christmas baby. He was born on December 25th, and he was supposed to be due on December 23rd. And was not going anywhere. Actually, I think he was supposed to be on the 23rd. No, he was supposed to be due on the 22nd. And the 23rd, there was a huge snowstorm. We lived in Washington, D.C. at the time. Huge snowstorm, and my very pregnant wife is at home, basically just tapping her fingers, waiting to become a mother. And there was a huge snowstorm. She made me go down to the police who were at the intersection near our home to prevent people from trying to go up the hill near our house. and made sure that they knew there was a pregnant woman in here who might need to get to the hospital. And the police officer said, "You tell your wife that if she needs to go to the hospital, we will get her there." And that really reassured her and was fine. So Ishimoaru Blue Emerald, excuse me. Kind of an interesting green here. Not that much different. We had last week, we had this brilliant mint, which is surprisingly similar. Look at that. Why would you put those two in the same calendar? Okay, put that there. We'll do 24, Christmas Eve. Kobe ink, number 63, East Park Torch Orange. Lots of orange in this Inkvent calendar. Not a huge amount of variation. Let's give it a shot. I'm looking forward to lining up all the different oranges that are in this kit. There's a lot in here, and there's not a huge amount of variation, though I have to tell you, this is brighter than many of the others that are in here. This is more like a diamine pumpkin. Enigma Inkvent, day 24. This is Kobe ink, number 63, East Park Torch Orange. And kind of a, that says drying, it has a little bit more of a reddish color to it than the Diamond Pumpkin, but it's about the same level of saturation and punch. And finally, the last one, the big reveal for the number 25. It looks like a green. Let's see what 25 is. Wet Pen, Gasworks Park. So we've had two other wet pen inks in this calendar. I love the wet pens video. Never got any of the ink until this calendar. One of them I was really impressed with, and the other one I was just kind of mid about. So see, this is definitely kind of a green. Oh, look at that. That's a rich green. Wow, there's a lot going on here. I'm already seeing some light blue pop through, some yellow pop through. Oh, watch that change as it dries. That's amazing. So yeah, it goes on deep, kind of dries to more of a foresty green. Day 25. The wet pen. Gasworks Park. So here are our four final inks. We have this Sailor ink, the Kitsune Buyori, which is kind of like a purplish beige, which has a couple little properties in it. You can see some variation, some shading, but again, very light saturation, very interesting ink, but I don't know how practical it is. The Ishimoaru Blue Emerald. It's kind of like a minty, greeny, gray part to it. It's not that terribly interesting. Kobe ink, Torch Orange, fairly straight ahead orange. Some interesting red in it, but not a lot going on there that we haven't seen before. And this is really interesting for a green, which is this almost kind of foresty green. There's yellow in here popping through. I see a little bit of blue and a little bit of different shades of green. So that's very nice, almost like an evergreen green that matches the season, I guess, more than anything else. So let's move this out of here. Let's see if we can put all 24 in here. I'm not quite sure it's going to work because I've never done this before, but let's see if we can fit everything in here together. Oh, we'll make it work. I think this will work. We have to scoot these around a little bit. The final 7, I think we'll fit them in. Kinda. I'm really glad to see not an over-reliance on shimmer inks. I think so many people are so into shimmer inks right now that they end up really kind of overdoing it. And so many shimmer inks are not really that great. They don't write that great, and they aren't great for your pen. But conceptually they work really well. There are a couple shimmer inks in here. This first one was a shimmer ink. This day 12 is a shimmer ink. I'm not seeing a lot of other shimmers on the other days, which is fine. So here you have all 25 in it says set C. So I'm assuming that means there are a set A and a set B, perhaps. Maybe even a D or E, I'm not quite sure, but it's some variation in this to keep it interesting. You have a lot of oranges. 1, 2, 3. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them are oranges, which is surprising to me. There's not a lot. Like, look at these two next to each other. They're very similar inks. You have this, which is a much more reddish, bloody pumpkin, reddish orange, and you have this red panda, which I think is a good connection between name and ink color, but there's not a lot of variation here. Some of the more interesting ones are the grays. I think that this, where's that Ferris wheel press one that I really like? Is over here, Adventurine. Tons of stuff going on in that ink. It's actually, this is a shimmer ink too. I forgot to acknowledge that. It is, you can see some of the shimmer in there, but you also can see just a ton of other color going on in there. There's pinks, there's blues, there's greens, there's grays, various grays, a little bronzish, probably mostly coming from the sheen. Another one that I was very impressed by in this was the Wet Pens Deception Pass. Here you can see that. Tons of stuff going on in that ink. Really interesting. That would really look interesting coming out of a pen onto a page. Very impressed by that. Also this Frosty Blue. Lots of color variation going on there. Lots of this nice and subtle, lots going on. Very interesting stuff. So I'm grateful to this because it did expose me to some color makers or some ink makers that I was previously hadn't had much exposure to. There's a number of inks I was very impressed with. The Wet Pens, for example. Ferris wheel press, which I've kind of avoided a lot because I've heard some bad things about how they react in pens. But this is the whole collection here, and I hope you enjoyed following along, and I hope you will come back again. Bye.